I'm Shauna and welcome back to my channel. Now that uni is over and I have handed in my final assignment, I can now focus more on my reading. And so uni doesn't come back until the end of February, so I have a lot more extra time to read. So today I'm going to talk to you about all the books that I am hoping and planning to read between now and the time uni goes back. So first off, I am currently reading Into the Night by Sarah Bailey. I will put the page number somewhere on the screen as to where I am currently at. I have been reading this book since October, and as October just happens to be the last month of the teaching weeks at uni, it was pretty full on, so I didn't really read much of this. I would have liked to have finished it. Into the Night is the second book in the Gemma Woodstock series by Sarah Bailey. The first book is The Dark Lake, which I would show you, but it is in the pile of books I am using as a tripod. As it is the sequel, I can't tell you too much. I will say that it is in a different town than The Dark Lake, but it still has, it still follows Gemma Woodstock, who is a detective. In The Dark Lake, she has to solve a murder in her small town, and as it's a small town, she knows the victim, and this town has a lot of secrets, and quite a lot of them are exposed through this murder investigation. Yeah, so I won't say too much more than that, as it is a murder case and you learn a lot as you go through the story. So I am enjoying Into the Night. It is quite different from The Dark. At the point where I'm at as of filming this, I have a few theories going already. Yeah, so I'm still quite in the early stages of this book. As of filming this, I am on page 138, so we're still getting into like the very early stages of the murder investigation and finding out who's who and all that, so I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to finish it and figure out the murder, as I will be guessing and coming up with my own theories as I read. I have a few theories already, but I think we haven't been introduced to everyone involved yet, so we'll see how this one goes. So the first book I wish to finish is Into the Night. So after Into the Night, I plan on reading the entire Throne of Glass series. I have read the first 3 books in the series, as well as The Assassin's Blade, but my plan is to reread all of them. So the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas follows Selena Sadothian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but she is a trained assassin. So at the start of the book, Selena is enslaved, but to win her freedom, she has to fight for the prince in a to-death tournament to become the Lord's assassin. I will be starting by rereading The Assassin's Blade, and then Throne of Glass, and move on to Crown of Midnight and An Heir of Fire, all of which I have read. I remember a bit, but it has been quite a few years since I've read this series. And then I will be reading for the first time Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and the final book in the series, which is beautiful, is Kingdom of Ash. And this one is huge. It's almost 1,000 pages, so I'm hoping to finish this series by the end of the year, but I don't know. It will be interesting to see how far I get into it. I will be filming my entire reading experience for this series and my thoughts and feelings for it, so you can expect that sometime in the future when I finish this series. So once I finish the Throne of Glass series, I do plan on continuing reading Sarah J. Maas's books. So the next series that I plan on reading after Throne of Glass is her other series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I have not read. So this one from memory, is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, at least the first book is. So I'm not entirely sure what this series is about. I know that it is a fae series, but not more than that, and I think that's how I want to go into this series, just find out everything about it as I'm reading. This series contains A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the final series in the trilogy, and the final book I have is the novella, which is called A Court of Frost and Starlight. I will be vlogging my experience while reading this series. In fact, I will be vlogging the rest of all these books that I'll be reading, except one. I don't think I will vlog my experience of reading one, but I'll get to that one much later. So after I read Sarah J Maas's books, I plan on diving into Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse, starting with the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So again, I'm not really sure what this series is about, but I've been wanting to read it. I've heard only good things about it. Yes, I plan on diving into the Shadow of the Shadow and Bone series. So starting with Shadow and Bone, and then Siege and Storm, and the final book in the trilogy is Rune and Rising. Once I finish that trilogy, I will be moving on to the Six of Crows duology. I do know more about this series than the Grishaverse, than the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I know this one involves a heist, and that is pretty much it, and that is all I want to know going into this book. Again, I've only heard amazing and great things about this series. I'm also interested in this series as I am currently writing a crime series, so I think it would be interesting and insightful for me. So this series includes The Six of Crows, and the sequel and final book in the duology is Crooked Kingdom. So after reading the Six of Crows duology, I plan on diving into Leigh Bardugo's short story collection to go with the Grishaverse, which is the Language of Thorns. It is a beautiful book. I've had a flick through, and the illustrations of this book are just stunning and beautiful, and I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read all these books, but yeah, this one I think will be interesting and a nice quick fly through book. So these are actually all the books that I brought up with me. I came up, when did I come up last? End of September, yeah, the last week of September, I had a tuition-free week, so I flew up here and I brought a few of these books, and then I came up with 15 books in my suitcase and carry-on luggage, one of which was for Mum. So I'm blaming her for the extra book, but yeah, I brought quite a lot of books up with me. Overall, I believe I have 24 physical books that I want to read, plus I have one audiobook that I definitely want to finish, which I'll get to later. So the final series that I am hoping to read is the DC Icon series. The DC Icons series, from what it is, has a bunch of young adult authors writing iconic DC characters into young adult books. So yeah, so the first book, there are currently 3 books out. The first book is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. The next one is Batman Nightwalker by Mary Lou. The final book that is out is Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J Maas. So I'm quite looking forward to diving into these. Yeah, so the final one that is coming out next year sometime, I think it's either March or May. I could be wrong, but the final one is a Superman by Matt Dilla Penna. I don't think I said that right, but yeah, that one will be coming out next year, and depending on how much I like these ones, which I think I will pick that one up as well. The next book that I have, I brought up with me in November. My mum is currently reading this actually. It is City of Lies by Sam Hawke, and this one is a big one as well. I don't really know much about this one. So the main character, I believe his role is to protect the family by making sure their food and drinks are not poisoned. From the age of 7, he's had to be trained to survive and detect poisons. And that is all I want to know going into this book, actually. So yeah, so that is going to be interesting, I think, and it will be a different pace to the rest of these books that I plan on reading. The final book I have is a non-fiction book. It is How to Build an Online Business by Bernadette. I am not going to attempt to say her last name, but yes. So, and I recently realized that I also have this book in audio form. So I think throughout the next few months I will read this one. I will not vlog my experience of reading this one at all. Yeah, because I would like to start up an online business and just figure out all the technical stuff that I have to do for it. So that is my final physical book. If I do get through all these, I do have a bunch of books back home, and hopefully by the time I finish these, I will be back down south about to start with all my books. So, and have my own place and be all set up. So along with all these physical books, I do have a couple of audiobooks that I want to get through. I currently have just under 22 hours left of a Sherlock Holmes The Definitive Collection series. So once I finish the Sherlock Holmes audiobook, I'm not sure if I want to dive into a non-fiction book, or which I think I might do a quick non-fiction book. I don't know what one. I'll see when I finish it and what I'm into. But if I'm still wanting to listen to, if I don't feel like non-fiction, my next fiction book will be the original Folk and Fairy Tales of the Brothers of Grimm. I've been interested in reading that for a while, so the original Grimm Brothers stories. So yeah, so from there I'll just make the decisions up as I go. So those were the 26 books that I plan on getting through before uni starts again next year. Yeah, so I have a lot of books. I am not going to try and hold them all because it is starting to warm up and I've had the aircon off for a while now, so I don't feel like it. But yeah, so that is all the books that I plan on reading before uni starts up again. If you've read any of these, or let me know your thoughts about them in the comments. Do not spoil anything for me or anyone else who has not read them. Yeah, just do not spoil books. Yeah, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!